Well, listen, guys, September and October is Mental Health Awareness Month, and I don't want to neglect that. We've gone through a lot. Yes, we've all been through the pandemic, but what's come out of the pandemic, I've never seen so many people depressed. I've never seen so many people just down in the dumps and not moving, including myself. I went through a bout of a little bit of being down and out a little bit. Not too much because I keep myself busy, but we all go through it, and we need to be aware of it. And then, who do we go to get help? When we need help. Are we too afraid in our community to get help? And with all this misinformation where we don't know what the truth is, what the lie is, doesn't that also cause mental stress? How's your workplace now that you went back to work? I mean, wow, COVID, mask, no mask, shot, no shot, it's causing a lot of anxiety. But guess what? As always, I brought the backup. This is Mentorship Moments. Each one, teach one. Let's talk about it.
Sometimes you just gotta make it happen. Gonna make it happen. Gonna make it happen. Just make it happen. Just make it happen.
Welcome back to another episode of Mentorship Moments, Each One Teach One. Told you, I promised you I'd be back with consistency. I've been working, but luckily I have some great reruns. I've had some great guests in the past, and I want to thank them. Today's focus, I really wanted to talk about mental health, the fear around it, and I really would like to hear some callers that have some questions about what mental health awareness is, what mental health issues are, and where we can go to get help. And again, I have the perfect guest. She's been on the show before. I think she's a repeat offender, and she's also helped me co-host from time to time. Her name is Dr. Natacha Nelson. We will bring her up in a second. But before we do, I do want to get out a couple of shout outs here. I want to just kind of get that out the way. First shout out is a happy anniversary to Dion and Santasha Joseph. They've been married 25 years. I believe they jumped on 3 months before I did. I see that, so I make sure I remember mine coming up in November 8th. That's when I married the love of my life, Eva Joseph. I can't wait. I almost can't tell her the surprise. She kind of knows. And hopefully that anxiety is causing her mental health stress, but it will be good. We're going to have a good time. Shouts out to that. Again, shouts out to Xavier Joseph on his production a couple of weeks ago. Big things happening in the Joseph household and globally, right? There's a lot of good things happening. Also, let's get our sponsors. Let's get it right. Let's get it right off the top. Been working with Yelita Carter for a few months, and I've had a gang of questions, and she's been able to answer it on a few issues when it comes to real estate. And I'm just excited to work with her. She is very credible. She's a 5-star. You want that 5-star experience? It's Yelita Carter. All right. When you need a certified probate and trust real estate specialist, you need to call 213-804-3369. All right, I got Felicia jumping already. Listen, if you like the content that I'm bringing, and you just want to give to the cause, like I said, I'm not asking for 1,000, but if you want to give me 1,000, give it to me 1,000, right? But if you just want to hit me up with a few bucks, saying, hey, CJ, I really like the content, hit me up with Cash App at $CJ Functional. Your support, it means the world to me. Thank you for my past supporters. If you're on Venmo, it's at CJ Functional, and you just hit me up, mention CJ Show, and hey, I'll give you shouts out on the following week. Thank you to our previous givers, Alma Moore, man, I just super appreciate you. Listen, if you want to call in, now for real, guys, for real, this is real stuff. This is about mental health. The number you want to call is 323-815-4204. That's 323-815-4204. Now, couple of funny stories. Okay, I almost was like late coming here because I had to break up a fight, and it was like almost like a Jerry Springer type love triangle, an entanglement. I had to break up an entanglement today. So I was walking out, getting ready to go to the show, and all of a sudden, my dog Delilah, she has a boyfriend, and her name is Bambi. I call him Big Bambi because he's a terrier, but he's big, and I'm not just talking about his backside. All right. So he came in to here for his daily visit for Delilah, my dog, and out of nowhere, I saw a dog scaling the fence 2 houses down to fight Bambi. Man, I'm like, what's going on? So the dog jumps the fence. It's another terrier. It's terrier world for Jerry Springer. So the two terriers are going at it, and my dog Delilah defended her boyfriend. She went out there and said, "You ain't fighting my man." So myself and all my three neighbors were all outside trying to break up this fight. And Delilah won, of course, and Bambi and Delilah's relationship was saved. And the other dog had to take a time out. Therefore, I was rushing a little bit here, but thank God, God is good. Also, I had a boss tell me a few months ago that I had crazy eye. So as we're doing the sound system and I'm checking the TV monitor, I'm looking at myself. And yes, I understand. I do have crazy eye. From time to time, one does move over a little bit. So if you're a little intimidated, don't be. I love you all. I just have a little bit of case of the crazy eye. All right. All right, guys. With that said, little humor, I just want to laugh just to break the cycle so I can mentally calm down, because I brought the best guest in the world, a return offender, right? And she has co-hosted with me from time to time. Before we bring this beautiful woman out, I want to read to you her bio. Just so excited to have her and just to have this discussion again, because it's so important. Natacha Nelson, the life doctor. I call her Dr. Dimples. We've been working together for years. She graduated from Palmer West College of Chiropractic in 1998. Owner of Inside Out Wellness Center, Dr. Nelson has been practicing for 20 years. Beyond clinical practice, Dr. Nelson has been a leader in the community as a wellness consultant. I vouch for that. Speaking to over 100 groups, including Boring, Northrop, and Raytheon. In 2015, graduating from University of Santa Monica with a master's degree in spiritual psychology, serving the community as a mental health and emotional literacy consultant, facilitating group workshops and individual personal coaching to large organizations and executives such as the YMCA. In 2019, Dr. Nelson published her first book, Finding Courage to Let You Out. Beautiful book, read through it, amazing, amazing journey, amazing story. It's a personal growth memoir bringing awareness to depression and anxiety. A former volunteer employee of Santa Clarita Fire Department and the Menlo Atherton Police Department, she volunteered as an advisor on health and wellness through chiropractic care for department employees, as well as local departments including El Segundo, Los Angeles County. Dr. Nelson, who was also on-site chiropractor for the California Police Firefighters Olympic Games held in San Diego. I actually fought in that years ago. As an elite athlete in her own right, Dr. Nelson has played professional beach volleyball on the national and international circuits. She's provided advisory services to professional, semi-professional athletes, as well as today's young athletes. Dr. Natacha Nelson is on the forefront of delivering the message to our community and ultimately beyond. This movement is life medicine, whereby focus is on restoring the human element of health, wellness, living with vitality. This has led her to the emerging field of life doctoring as a mental health and emotional wellness consultant. Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, I can't take it anymore. Cats, give her a standing ovation. Meow, couple of meows. Dr. Natacha Nelson! What's going on, my friend?
Oh my gosh, CJ, I'm so happy to be here with you again. I treasure our time, and I just love when we get to be together and share. And there's always amazing moments when we're together of insight and wisdom, and it's always wonderful fuel for my soul. So thank you for letting me come back.
It's not even letting. It's like I had to have you come back. A lot of times when I bring you on, I just want free consultations. It's like it has nothing to do with our friendship. I can hate your guts, but you're good at what you do. I just get free therapy. That's all. Because I need some help. It's what's funny is I know we're laughing, but this is a pretty serious subject. And about a month ago we were trying to put this on, and we had to cancel for obvious reasons. but I said I had to have her back and make sure we get this thing going because mental health is important. And I think the time is correct because next September and October is going to be mental health awareness month. And I believe if you told me it's split up in two portions, mental health and then global mental health, is that correct?
Yeah, so mental health awareness has a little like every month seems to have one day allocated to some aspect of it,
Hmm.
but September and October are big mental health awareness months. And it's kind of like the big umbrella of everything. So October, I believe, is the global. September is national. I think actually October is the National Suicide Prevention
Mm.
Week as well as mental health. So they always put some one underneath the umbrella, but um that's how September and October are rolling.
Now, we're going to brag about a lot of your accomplishments, but I really like to just kind of change gears a little bit, just get right into the content. The last time I had you on, well, the last couple of times in review, you guys can go back on my YouTube page. And for my YouTube guys, if you have questions that if you're watching now, of course, you click and subscribe. This is awesome. Glad to have you. My Facebook peeps, if you're on, you can ask your questions on Facebook. So I got it straight. Flea got me straight on this technology thing. So I can't wait for that. It's just so important to get into the subject of mental health. People in general, on a global, national level, we're doing the best we can with resiliency. But I'm noticing a lot of depression, a lot of anxiety. In 2020, we talked about the stress of a pandemic. In 2021, we talked about athletes who were having breakdowns, and we were questioning whether it was heroic or not, or not. And that was a great discussion. But now I think everybody falls under the blanket of some sort of health awareness. Give me your assessment from your professional perspective. And then again, we have the number on the screen. I want you to call if you have questions. We have the doctor right here. First of all, tell us what your profession is, and then we can go into my question.
Okay. So what is my profession? So you said it when you read it, like a mental health consultant. So I work one-on-one with clients. I work in public spaces and I teach in a nutshell, I teach people how to deal with their emotions so that each person is able to respond in situations instead of just emotionally react, because reactions just cause more problems and trouble that just keeps this ball rolling. So I work really specifically with addiction, depression, and anxiety because those three go together. They oftentimes somebody that has one usually has two, if not all three, and people float kind of between them. So kind of some days more anxiety, some days more depression, some days more addiction. So it's kind of this flow that when you understand how they are all interconnected, it makes sense. So I don't like somebody who's in a very like active addiction, drugs or alcohol or anything. I don't work with that realm. I refer those to clinics with medical supervision. I work with people when they come out of rehab or out of a program and now have to learn how to integrate into life, how to deal with the life pressures that caused the addiction or the breakdown to begin with, and in whatever way that shows up. So how to live their life without choosing all of the unhealthy behavior patterns and falling back into those behaviors. So my long-winded answer, that's what I do.
Well, the big question I have is many people still to this day have a fear of getting help for mental anxiety or depression. With all the information that we have out there that it's okay to get help, why do you feel in your mind that it's still an issue for people to get help when they're suffering from mental ailments? I just don't want to say ailments because it could be for a moment or it could be for a movement. Talk about it.
Yeah. What I hear and work with is that people are afraid that the information that comes out is going to be used against them,
Mm.
whether it's against them at work, in their home, um, that acknowledging any type of mental health issue creates a feeling like they are weak. People feel like they're going to be preyed on and taken advantage of or manipulated because the mind is so like we can't see it. And so and when we're in a weakened state, it's a natural defense to want to stay and protect ourselves. And that's what I run up against is really, the first part of trust is allowing people to know, who they're going to work with. They have to trust. And people also, so that's the first component is just people don't want to feel weak or judged. The second component is people don't want to feel like they have to go to therapy for the rest of their life and talk about their feelings and their problems ad nauseum as if there's not going to be a solution. And the way I work is there's a solution and let's get to it and let's get to the heart of it and deal with the issue. We don't need to talk about stuff over and over and over and over and over.
Yeah.
It's talk about it, get to the point, get right in there and solve it. And so my background, all ailments, even if you look at mental health, there can be a physical component, a chemical nutrition component, and emotional component. And all three need to be addressed. And really the most important is all three need to be looked at from the start in the diagnostic process. Because people could have depression that's caused by an underlying infection or some type of physical injury that is draining their body, and there is a depression with that. And so it's this idea that in order to correct that mental health issue, you have to get to the accurate source to diagnose it properly. So that if it's a physical issue, you have to address it with a physical solution. A chemical needs chemical. Yeah.
So let me ask you this. I'll put something out there.
Yeah.
Trauma at any point in life, could that be a cause for current mental health issues, and how?
Almost always.
Okay.
Because all trauma, physical, emotional, spiritual, mental, unless it's dealt with, it's always going to carry memory.
Mm-hmm.
And the memory of the pain is what we experience in current time. And so until we actually deal with the past and come to a place of peace, the point of dealing with past trauma is you can't get rid of it, and they certainly can't change it. But it's changing the perception of how we view past traumas. And so for me, I remember, I share openly, I grew up in a very violent home. And my dad was an alcoholic. And it took me a long time to understand and heal that wound of realizing that, my dad wasn't trying to hurt me personally. He didn't look at me with, I want to hurt my child. My dad was an alcoholic and he didn't know what he was doing. It was the best he could do.
Mm-hmm.
And starting that kind of understanding helped me to not take it personally. Yes, it happened to me, but I was able to break that idea that there must have been something wrong with me, or that I should have done something different or somehow been better. And those kind of things allow me to think about my past now with my dad. And I don't feel any anger. I don't feel, there's no emotional charge anymore when I think about my past. And it's the emotional charge of trying to keep it a secret, like I tried for so long. It's people trying to keep it a secret, trying to hide, trying to feel ashamed and trying to get away from things. That's what keeps the current depression and anxiety of trying to run away from your past instead of just making peace with it, where it just doesn't emotionally bother you anymore.
When you
So
say,
now I talk about, go ahead.
when you say making peace, now I don't mean to sound cliche, but then again I do. I mean, you're in a profession, I'm not. is this an excuse when we say the cliche term hurt people, therefore I forgive, or is it just that simple or not? What do you think when I say that?
There's a simplicity to it, which yes, there's truth to it, but it's not always easy to do unless you understand how to. So people who are hurt, yes, they hurt other people, and it's true. And part of healing the past means no longer feeling hurt, because it's the hurt component that causes the emotional charge. And that's the emotional charge that gets triggered by people around us in current time. Then we take it out on. So when you talk about healing the past, it's okay. So I no longer feel hurt by my dad. I can talk about it. I can share. I can take lessons. I take different parts about it, but I don't feel hurt anymore. It's just part of my story and part of my past.
Interesting.
And so with that, because I don't feel a hurt, I don't feel embarrassed or ashamed if somebody says, oh my God, your dad was an alcoholic. Oh my God, you grew up poor. Oh my gosh. I'm like, okay, yeah. Yep. Okay. So I don't react when somebody says that. Like, I don't need to pick a fight. I don't need to run away. I don't need to like drown my sorrows. I don't need to do anything. I'm just like, yeah, okay. That's the childhood I had. And that was, decades ago, and it's okay.
So you basically healed yourself, but I want to ask you a question.
Yes.
And I'm putting myself back to the first time I had to go talk to somebody, because I never, I never did it. My thought was, okay, I'm gonna go ahead and do it. I know I need help, for whatever. Now mine was in the workplace, and we'll talk about it later. And it was just driving me to the just brink of like insanity. And what I expected in my imagination is I'm gonna go to this person, and this person's gonna solve my problem, right away. I'm going in for a solution. But when I went in, it wasn't like that. It's almost like, and maybe you can share, it's almost like you deep dive, so I could be wrong or right, to where we solve the problem ourselves, and you help facilitate us looking in. Is that a fair assessment?
Yes, and that's really the differences of what kind of therapists are available. And that's why I said I don't do like talking the whole time with people. Like, we're not going to just talk about the problem over and over and over. And yes, my work is providing solutions, but not providing solution to one thing. It's teaching the tools so that you, me, my clients can learn how to use those tools moving forward on their own, and may need help and guidance, but the proverb of teaching a man to fish versus giving him a fish, that's what it's about. It's, if I teach you the tools of how to solve problems for yourself, then you can take that principle, and there are logical steps, like it's an algorithm, step 1, step 2, step 3, and you can apply that practical. And it's a practical application, so that anytime trouble shows up or there's a problem, you can logically work your way through it. And that's always my goal, is to be able to teach somebody to do that for themselves, and so that they're not dependent. Because therapy's not, I don't want people dependent on me. I don't want to be the one that has to solve people's problems, because that's too much for me, and it's not fair to the other person, and it's disempowering to take away their sense of autonomy, that they are capable. Like, my job is to teach them that, yes, you're capable of solving problems on your own. Doesn't mean you're by yourself.
Right.
I'll teach you the tools, but giving somebody that sense of confidence is better than any solution I can offer.
And that's awesome. Let me ask you something. Now, I'm just curious.
Yeah.
Do you hear so much stuff from so many people? Do you bear the weight of that when you go home? Does it make you more depressed, or the fact that we're leading to solutions gives you a sense of, hey, I'm a professional, this is just how it is?
I don't take it on and carry it on, because in the work that I do, usually within the hour, there is always a seismic shift where the person leaves feeling better than when they came in. Doesn't mean all the problems are solved, but to see somebody like cry or that gut kind of hurt, and then within the hour, something goes off in the head that makes them go, oh my gosh, there's a shift. And when that change happens, and I can see they light, that's like there's a light that comes up and there's a little bit of a smile and a sense of hope, then I know I don't have to carry the burden because they understand and they're getting it. So as long as there's forward progress, I don't have to carry it on and take on the role of, it's not my job to fix people. It's just my role to teach people.
When I say, I'm going to say, and professionalism is so important. And I'm going to throw this word out there. You know, attorneys have it, personal trainers have it, ministers have it. When I say the word to give your future clients that are listening confidence in going to get mental health, how does confidentiality equate in your profession?
So for me, as a doctor-patient privilege is there, whether we talk on the phone, as a Zoom, however, it's always there. It's confidential. That's where, you know, I always tell clients that do some research on the person you want to talk with. Look at their Facebook profiles, look at their social media, talk with other people, like see where they work and see, you know, people, when you have professionals who gossip and talk about other people's business, people know. And so all you have to do is just ask a few questions, go to their social media page. It's amazing how much you can find out. When you Google them, what shows up, because they might, and how they respect other people, because you'll see if they post stuff about their clients and stuff. So, you know, it's so important. You need to have somebody that you can trust that will take the information that you share with them to the grave with them. And I do. Yeah.
I love it. And I wanted to make sure our listener base is hearing this, because I do want people, you know, like I said, you and I, we've had talks, you know, so I have full trust in you. So that's so important. So I want to go to a quick commercial break. I want to come back and I have more questions about the times we're living in right now coming out of a pandemic, but I definitely want to spend the next segment talking about your event coming up at my studio. I'm excited that you're
Yes!
yeah. So on the next break, we'll come back and we'll talk about the event, and then we'll get into some of the times we're having, some health stuff too. All right? Mentorship moments, each one teach one. We'll be back in a second.
In life, we all have opponents to prepare for. But you don't have to be a fighting champion to defeat your current condition. You don't need to be the ultimate anything to tap out the stressors in life. But what if I told you that mastering your physical well-being, like a fighter, directly relates to mastering the obstacles in your daily life? The only challenger that awaits you is yourself. Do you accept your challenge? I'm CJ, and this is CJ's Functional Fitness, where you don't have to be a fighter to feel like one. So let's train.
All right, quick shouts out to Sean, who's listening in on Facebook, Quill, who jumped in, man. I'll avid listener, I appreciate you, man. Appreciate it. Listen, I want to, we're going to get more into the mental health aspects, but I want to make sure we covered your event in this next segment. So your body keeps the score, all right? I want to talk about it. Now, I'm going to read this, and then I want you to expound about it. I guess I want you to brag on yourself a little bit, okay? And so your body keeps score, the price we pay when we tame our pain and ignore our soul's calling. Join Dr. Nelson as she reveals her never before shared secrets on how she works with clients to align the heart and soul's deepest desires using proprietary untamed heart system. I want to talk about that. I'll stop right there. Tell me about this untamed heart system. Let's talk about it.
Yeah. So what I understood even early in my chiropractic career, so within the first 6 months to a year in my practice, was people come in with generally the same type of headaches, neck pain, low back pain, muscle aches, different things. And I would, school taught me to be a really great clinician, diagnostician, treating patients. Great. But people could come in with the same injuries, and some the treatment would work, and some it wouldn't. Some people would heal, some people wouldn't. And it started me really thinking about, well, why is it some people get better and some don't? And then I didn't know I wasn't researching or going back to school. I would just ask patients, like, are you stressed? What's going on? And the more that people shared, the more the light bulb went off that, oh, that's the mind, body, soul connection that if we are not feeling our feelings and we're trying to stuff them down and hide them, our body keeps the score. Our body remembers. So when we are angry and we're clenching our jaw, well, you're clenching your jaw. Those muscles start to get tired. You start grinding your teeth. You start creating tension kind of headaches. And I use that example because it's an easy one to understand, but everything changes. So when you are like anxious and tossing and turning and you're not sleeping well, your body's keeping the score. So our bodies remember every trauma that we've had, every emotional issue that we are not letting go. And when we're holding on to it, because we all know somebody that always comes up around the holidays where, man, they're still mad at people for something that happened 10 years ago, 20 years ago. And women tend to hold things, grudges. Let's just say it that way.
Oh, you're darn skippy about that. I know a couple of women right now. I want to get beat up.
Yeah. And so the body will become ill. It's a dis-ease because you're suppressing the blood flow starts to slow down and get constricted. Your body, your digestive system becomes affected when you're upset. So your body keeps the score it's really just encompasses what we're going to talk about on how our emotions affect the body, why it's important to feel them. But really, it's important to understand feelings are real. Like the feelings that we all have, they're real. But feelings are not universal truths. Like the sun comes up and the sun sets, and there are 24 hours in the day. Those are kind of, there's gravity. Those are universal truths. How we feel is how we feel, but it's not the truth about how life actually is. And people make the mistake of thinking, well, if this feeling is real and true, then they act out of thinking, oh my gosh, I have to do something to get rid of this feeling because this feeling is so real and it's taken over my life. And so there's a lot of things about understanding the mind, the body, and what feelings are and how to deal with feelings without them getting stuck in our body as if they are real. Because that's when they become real, is when it becomes a physical issue. That's when it's real. Up until then, it's just a feeling.
What I'm hearing also is that it can be expressed in physical pain, right?
Yes.
Just from
because think about when you're stressed, you're anxious. How well do you sleep at night?
I don't.
So, and if you don't sleep well at night, it changes your hormones, it changes your blood sugar, it changes your oxygen, it changes your body's ability to heal and repair. So then you wake up and when you're tired, okay, your body can handle one day of not sleeping well, but you do that 2-4 days, a week, couple weeks, muscles become very tight and they become brittle. And then all of a sudden, you kind of trip over a rock. Well, if you had been sleeping well, your muscles are pliable and it's like, you shake it off, you can laugh. Yeah. When you're tired and the muscles are brittle and you trip over that rock, well, now you can sprain your foot, your ankle, your knee, or fall all the way to the ground and break a bone. So yes.
So tell us about, and we've talked about it, but I'm going to shut up because I'm just a personal trainer. Talk about fight or flight cortisol as it relates to stress and the body, constant stress.
Okay. So So stress, well, we gotta backtrack. So stress is not, first of all, stress is not an emotion. Okay, so it's not an actual real feeling or emotion. It's a term that's used when the body is there's a certain set of changes. So when you have high, your heart rate goes up, your blood pressure goes up, your levels of sugar go up. That's a stress response. It's a fight or flight response. And that just means if your body perceives fear. So if there's something, a physical danger, and you need to run or you need to fight, your body produces hormones that, adrenaline, insulin, all these things to help you either run from the danger or fight the danger. And your body can tolerate that for, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, even an hour. And then it needs to subside. But usually by then the danger has. And that's a physical danger. So, but when we are experiencing an emotional threat, and I say emotional threat, meaning the danger may not even really be real. It's something that you think might happen in the future. And I mean, it could be maybe you're not sure that you can pay rent and you're fearing being evicted. Okay, it's a real situation, but it's not happening in this current moment. So you wouldn't need to fight it. You don't need to flight and run from it or fight it. But what that does is it raises, so instead of having adrenaline to fight or flight, you get cortisol. And cortisol is an emotional stress hormone, and that will stay in the body as long as you're thinking about that stress. And that can be 24/7 for however many days or weeks or months or years. The worry, the constant worry, and that triggers cortisol, which is a whole different toxic hormone when it's in the body. It changes, it causes diabetes because it affects the sugar in the bloodstream. It puts on, we end up carrying more weight. It changes our heart rate, changes everything. But it's a toxic hormone related to stress. And I say stress in quotes because it's really the emotional, mental thoughts of danger that aren't really present in this current moment. It's something you think is going to happen at some time in the future.
So what are some of the methods that you would use to unwind or unravel that so a person can simply sleep at night, so a person can simply just breathe a little bit and think with a moment of clarity as opposed to that constant chronic, oh my God, the sky's falling?
One of the first and most important things is I am a big fan of writing, journaling. And I always think everybody needs to have something that's like a creative outlet. So whether it's music, and I don't mean listen to music, I mean playing music, playing an instrument, writing, art, painting, things, any kind of art, because it changes and shifts the mind and allows things that you're not thinking about actively. But I'm a fan of writing because that's the one that works for me. And it works for everybody because everybody can write. Not everybody can, play an instrument. And I always tell people when you're journaling and writing, it's not about talking, you can talk about your day. Okay. The most important thing about writing is doing a brain dump. So at the end of the day, before you go to bed, allow yourself the time to dump everything that you're thinking about and put it on paper.
I love
because what will happen is, oftentimes when we're thinking about it, we just keep thinking about the same thought and the same part of the problem over and over. Well, if you had to write that out, by the time you write it the 5th time, 6th time, 10 times, you start to go, okay, dude, like I need to have a different idea in my head and think of something else.
I love it.
But by writing it, it will trigger a different thought. So all of a sudden instead of staying on the one thought, you'll have the next thought. And all of a sudden your brain is like, oh, it's on paper. I don't have to try to remember it. Because part of the stress is trying to remember what you're thinking at the same time you're thinking it. And you're like, let me remember this and try to figure it out. Well, when it's on paper, your mind goes, great, it's on paper. I can let it go. And that's the big brain dump. You don't even have to solve the problem. The act of writing it out, and I'm saying it might take 10 minutes, it might take an hour, maybe 2. By the time you're done writing, because you're kind of done, you're just like, okay, I'm done writing. And then you'll be able to sleep because everything is like the weight of what you're carrying is on the paper. It's no longer you trying to carry it.
Man, that I love the brain dump. That pinged me because I'll write, or I'll sometimes I just meditate or pray, and sometimes I just give it up verbally, and I'm able to sleep afterwards. So that is amazing. I want to talk about the event. This is coming August 27th. August 27th. That's Saturday at 3:30. I want to make sure I get this out the way. And it's going to be at CJ's Functional Fitness Gym, 15703 Condon Avenue. That's Suite C3, Lawndale, California, 90260. And you can also, if you want the address, you can go to www.cjffla.com and you can get the address. And again, I'll blast that out later, but I just want to make sure I got that out there. Yeah, I love the brain dump philosophy. Now, we talked about sleep because that's everybody's chronic problem. But let's talk about the stuff that's out of our control. Let's talk about the workplace, because I know there's a lot of people that have gotten out of being ordered to come back to work from the virtual, and now they're already stressing about possibly getting sick. Or I know some people that were already ordered to work through the pandemic, especially our law enforcement personnel, our doctors, our lawyer, our people of that nature, doctors, firefighters, police officers who are chronically out there working while people are out there working from home. So it's two stressors that are out there that they go to work with these stressors. This ain't about sleep. This is happening now. How does a person do a dump in the middle of work while they're working? Because that's a common place where stressors and mental anxiety can come from.
Yes, good question. And it's not just work, but and it's also this idea of how do you handle when something comes up, but you're not in a position to be like, hey, I'm going to take a time out.
Right.
I'm going to go by myself and do my little brain dump. Is you tell yourself, because part of it is sometimes you do have to just get through the moment or through the day. And when that happens, like what I'll tell myself, like, okay, self, yes, I'm bothered. I can't solve it right now while at work. So I'm going to put this on the back burner, but I will get to it tonight. And the mind will say, okay, like there's something in your mind that recognizes, okay, I don't know how to solve it and I can't do it in this moment while I'm here, but we're going to handle it tonight. Okay. However, your mind will hold you accountable. So if you say to your mind, hey, we're going to handle this tonight, your mind is like, you better handle it tonight,
right,
or I'm going to keep you up all night until you handle it. Because if you're out of integrity with yourself, your mind is like, it will not let you go. Mm-hmm. So when you get home and then you're done, you do your brain dump, and that's when you sit, and you actually have to sit and write it out, think it out. Whatever your process is, you actually have to solve the problem, but first you have to know what the problem is. And that's where most people make the mistake, is they just talk about, I don't like this thing at work. I don't like this person. I don't like this rule. I don't like. And as soon as I say, well, what's the actual problem? People go, I just don't like it. And I go, well, you can't get rid of what you don't like. Like, that's just life. Like, you don't get to like everything. So you have to start with, what's the outcome that you want? Okay. Because when you ask that question, it's like, oh, what's the outcome that you want? Do you want to quit your job? No, maybe. Do you want to just have a peaceful workplace? Maybe. Do you want to, whatever the answer is, but you have to think about it first, because now you understand how to solve a problem is based on, well, what is the outcome that you are trying to get? So that's usually the first question I always have to think for myself. What's the outcome? And then, is it realistic? Like, is this the outcome I can is it possible to have this outcome? Because if your outcome is, I want somebody to quit so I don't have to see them, that's not the outcome you get to focus on.
Right.
It has to be an outcome that you are in control of, that you can do, that's actually something that can be done. So, people going back to work and worried about, okay, people are going to get sick, and okay, well, let's talk about that. what's the outcome that you would want? Do you think that you can work in a place where there's zero illness ever? Like that nobody's ever going to be sick? Is that even possible? No. Okay. Well, then the problem is really the solution, which is how to live in a world where there are people who are sick, there are viruses, there are germs, and we're always going to be exposed to them. So what do you need to do to strengthen your immune system, to be aware, to take charge of what you can? So always comes from a place of what's the outcome you're trying to get, and then you can figure out how to solve what's the actual issue. That's why people, when you think about politics, you think about what's going on right now.
Yeah.
I don't engage unless as soon as somebody brings up something about politics, I don't mind talking about politics. We can always talk about stuff. And I say, okay, well, we can have this discussion, but before we start, what's the outcome of this discussion going to be? Because if this person is like, well, I'm going to make you change your mind, I'm like, well, peace out. We don't need to talk. I'm not having this conversation.
I love it. You need to say that again, please, because there's a lot of people whose minds are. Please repeat that. I love it.
Yeah. Yeah. So political. So people who want to talk about politics. It's what is the outcome of the conversation? Because if the outcome is somebody's trying to change my mind or force me to do something that they want me to do, I will not engage in that conversation.
I love it.
If somebody says, well, I just want to talk and hear your side and what you think of and why you think about that, and can we talk and share? And then I'm always like, well, yes. And the rule is you are not allowed to yell at me, or that's it. But if it's just a discussion and the outcome is I want to learn more about you and why you have those beliefs, great. We can talk about anything. And it can be completely opposing beliefs, completely opposing sides, but it's respectful and it's coming from a place of the outcome is I want to hear your side and why you have your beliefs. And every once in a while, somebody somebody will say something that makes me go, oh my gosh, it didn't occur to me that that's how they came up with their belief and their thoughts. And I went, damn, okay. I may not change my mind, but all of a sudden I'm like, I think I kind of might. There are some things that have made me not completely change my mind, but accept both sides equally.
Exactly.
Because of somebody's perspective that made me go, I didn't consider that way before. So, but that's how I view everything. So this is conversations with friends. This will be conversations anywhere where it can be a little bit heated as well. What's the outcome of this conversation? Because if you're trying to get me to do something or manipulate me, or force me, I'm going to say peace out and I'm gone and we're done. We don't have to talk.
And that's definitely human nature. So it's almost like, it's not like, my approach is never to get you to agree with me. I want to get you, and I want you to get me. There's never coming from, and we talked about perception earlier on, and that's our natural way that individual protects themselves to a degree. So I think there are layers you can break down if you choose to engage in discussion. It's just that when people try to say you're wrong, and wrong, that's a very detailed definition of wrong and right. You don't know my walk. So it's just kind of like, okay, as long as we can discuss. I like what you said. That's fair game. And I have friends that have polar opposite thoughts, but we've come to the agreement that we're not going to lose our friendship over it. There's always going to be a joke at the end of it, and and we're good. And that's how I de-stress from that. Moving on, I want to talk about. Speaking of that, and you mentioned politics without going into politics per se, because this is not the show for that. But there is a thing that is really great, I feel, that is causing mental health issues, and that's misinformation. Have you ever had to deal with someone that just walked in there and they're just bombarded with what social media tells them, right, left, right, wrong. There's no basis on fact. They're just caught up in that. What do you say to that? Misinformation and how that relates to our mental state now.
Yeah, I don't, if they're coming, I don't engage in those conversations with people. If they're coming to see me for help, I'll let them know that being stuck on the energy of news and social media is an addiction. And what it does is
Thank you.
it gets people riled up.
Thank you.
And people, with what's going on and with, really a little bit before the pandemic, but really the pandemic stuff was really people's level of energy. People are also they're exhausted, emotionally, mentally exhausted. And with that exhaustion, there's a level of we kind of get numb. We just kind of get numb and go through the day and just trying to survive and function. When we get angry with politics and we pick a side and get angry, we can almost feel alive and we can almost feel like there's a sense of power and a sense of control. It's actually not real power and it's not real control, but it feels better than being numb and feeling exhausted. It's like a shot of adrenaline to be like confrontational of like, all right, let's just have this conversation. Oh yeah, let's get mad about it. Feeling angry just feels better than feeling numb and just emotionally checked out. So
I find,
people go
Doctor,
there.
and you just pinged on it. I find that the feelings, and hey, I'm guilty as charged. I find the feelings of anger are easy to attach to than feelings of happiness, right?
Yeah.
What do you think about that?
Yeah. Well, anger is it's an addiction.
It feels, it's a drug.
It's a drug. So if you understand truly what anger is, anger just lets you know that there is something in your world where some integrity issue has been broken, and really comes down to boundaries have been broken. Whether you broke your own boundaries or somebody else broke them for your boundaries for you.
Deep. That's deep.
You have to, anger comes in because you need to speak up and reset those boundaries. And there's a place for anger if you know how to use it and how to take action accordingly. But just to let it all out and dump on everybody is not going to do anything but push people away.
Man, I love it. All right, we're going to go on a commercial break. We're going to close out with once again the seminar information and your contact information when we come back from the break. And Dr. Nelson, you definitely have to close with words of affirmation. All right, we'll be back. My book, Navigating Through the Valleys of Success, is still out on Amazon. Go get it. Check it out.
I tried to be secular about this book, but I can't. Something's working within me.
DJ was already an incredible person, and then he wrote a book.
I turned to God as a person that stopped believing. So you will meet me there, and if not, you will see the works that help me get there.
If you want to know how to change and learn how to change from the inside out, you read this book.
Money is a real thing. It's a part of it. But what I show in the book, and I'm telling my young people out there, I'm walking you through business. This is a real business lecture 101. It's not the green that's going to keep you sustained. It's your influence. How well do you impart influence and love in people? How do I make you rich by a conversation we've had?
It's going to help you no matter what situation, no matter what trials or tribulations you're going through. It's going to give you that ammo that you need.
Watch God grow inside of me. Watch him show me why this went wrong to get to right. To him to say, you know what, God? I needed the tragedy too. I needed to feel loss. I needed to feel grief. I needed to feel let down. And thank God you've got me where I'm at in my marriage, with my kids, with my family, so I can see the blessings and I can tell somebody else how all those things I went through in the past got me where I'm at today.
You can get through anything if you just keep the faith and walk through that valley and don't give up. Don't turn back, don't look back, just keep looking forward, and the goal is right there. You just have to keep pushing for it.
Keep your brains in your head, keep your heart in your chest, and keep your pee-pee in your pants. And that's it.
That's great advice.
This will stay in your hearts for the rest of your life, and it will conquer the demons that lie in your mind.
one of my proudest works. Probably next year, volume 2. I've got a lot more to tell to encourage people to success. But I also want to give you another book, Finding Courage to Let You Out, also on Amazon. Dr. Nelson wrote an amazing book. I love her stories. It's like it parallels mine to just drive people to kind of just fix themselves through our story. Where else can I get that book, Dr. Nelson?
Amazon's probably the easiest place. You can get it also from Balboa Press. They were the publishers. And those are the 2 places. Yes.
Awesome. Man.
Every once in a while, random Barnes and Noble has it, but I've seen them in the bookstore and I was like, what?
Wow. Isn't that a good feeling?
It is so good.
That's awesome. Hey, so our event is August 27th at 3:30 p.m. at CJ's Functional Fitness Studios, 15703 Condon Avenue, Suite C3. And I'll blast this out pretty soon as the event gets close. Lawndale, California, 90260. I can't wait. And just be an hour of just understanding how your body keeps the score. I'm so looking forward to this. Won't hold you long. Just come out here, get information. It is Mental Health Awareness Month as we're going into, and this would be a perfect segue into getting involved in mental health, how you yourself can get help or get access to help, and also understand the untamed heart, how that works. I can't wait. Dr. Nelson, I'm going to let you close out with a positive affirmation to, you can brag about yourself, your contact information, but you got to give us some love, people that are looking for hope as we go forward into the rest of 2022.
Oh man, CJ, what a great time today. So much information. I feel that the most important message is that your heart, the heart, that's why I call it the untamed heart too. So much of what I talk about is the emotional pain. It's your heart saying it wants to beat stronger and it wants to beat bigger. And there's so much life inside of you that's wanting to come out. It's desperate to come out, and breaking through these emotional barriers is the way to it. And it might feel painful, and it might feel hard, but it's worth it on the other side. I don't make very many promises, but this is one I do make. I promise you, when you're willing to do the work, it's not as scary as you think, and it's not as depressing as you think. So come to the workshop August 27th. And you can also find me on social media. I'm always posting different, a little bit of everything all the time. So you can find me on Instagram at Natacha_Life Doctor. And my name is spelled Natacha. So Natacha_Life Doctor on Instagram. You can find me on Facebook at Dr. Natacha Nelson, DC. And you'll see that my picture is there. It'll come up. So click in there, follow me, make comments. I am always leaving videos, things that are uplifting, because the message that it's always about the uplifting of the human spirit and the human soul.
Amazing.
Of the person we are becoming. That's what it's all about. So we got so much to do.
Well, Dr. Nelson, thank you for being a repeat offender on the show. I love having you here, and I'm going to bring you on some more. I want to have you in studio because, I can't wait to showcase. You guys don't understand how athletic this woman is. She's a professional volleyball, all that good stuff. Doc, I want to thank you. I will see you on the 27th. I can't wait to promote and bring people to this event. I'm all about that healing. In 2 weeks, guys, I return. I believe my next guest is a very special friend of mine. He's been on the show before too, Dr. Thomas Datro. I can't wait for this explosive one. We always have a good show. So I'm looking forward to bringing you the most truthful information. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Mentorship Moments. Each one teach one. We are the village. I will see you in 2.